It's an extraordinarily busy time of year in the cycling calendar. Races struggle to find a place in our hearts, but the Skoda Tour of Luxembourg is absolutely arrow straight at the target. A fabulous roster of riders always come to this one, and they're blessed by some great dignitaries, including the Grand Duke himself. Time then to take this impressive roster of riders into the hills, out from and back to Luxembourg, and just look at the gnarly course that they had to deal with. This was serious racing. Forget the prologue. Out of the back door they were busy. Wow, 6 riders decided to take it on. Pietremont from Polti Visit Malta, Batzer from Wagner, Hellerup from Colorquick, along with Carvajo from FPAL, and the Luxembourg national team with Bounce and Morag. They were busy assembling mountains points. Somebody would have that KOM jersey on their back by the end of the day. What about everybody else? Well, they want to get off the mark quickly in this race. It has just about everything for everybody. Time trials, plenty of hills, the baroudeurs can have fun, and the sprinters most definitely. You've got to be strong if you want to thrive here. It's a race that deserves it, and that's precisely what we got. Côte d'Estorff, maximum gradients of 12%. Are you having a laugh? Nobody was smiling out there. They were grimacing and digging very, very deep. They had to. Well, the parkour was having a filtering effect on the peloton itself. Some were looking a bit second-hand off the back. Michael Gogol, one of those. Meanwhile, the break at the Côte d'Estorff were busy amassing those ever so important points. And not least, of course, every single day we have bonus seconds at one of the sprints, around about the 60 kilometres to go marker. And that garners vital seconds in the overall classification. And sometimes races like this, and particularly here, that can mean the difference between a jersey and not. Moderating the pace, Groupama Francis Jeux with Romain Gregoire, a big hope for them, of course. The head of the race was still busy, but we were looking at the roster and who might actually make an impact. Skelmors, Crow Anderson, Narvaez, McNulty, Healy, Carapaz. This is a big list of very big riders. The terrain was getting bigger as well, almost magnified. It's not the altitude, it's how you drive into a climb that counts. And they were ending their hopes, some of them, on this day. Pietremont looked absolutely fabulous, however. Hellerup it would be, though, that would have the mountains jersey by the day's end. No time for sightseeing here, although there's plenty to see in Luxembourg and enjoy. We were just loving watching those out there who perhaps had big ambitions for the end of the day, trying to moderate their effort and save something for the last, which was surely going to be dramatic. Our breakaway had an advantage of 2.5 minutes at one point. It was slowly but surely being whittled in, just like the hopes of those who were up there early. The 19-year-old Bounce, absorbed by the pack. Chats between Del Grosso and, indeed, Ramine. What was the plan? Well, everyone had one, but plans, well, they can, indeed, go up in smoke. Might look good on paper, but paper is highly flammable, and indeed our breakaway was starting to be wound in. There were some late rolls of the dice as well, but Carvajo in the bright orange, the future brighter for Pietremont and Morang. They were digging in, hoping to hold on, but the gap had now tumbled to 1 minute and 14. And by the time we came back to Luxembourg, and indeed the Fëschmaart, what would the gap be? 24 kilometres to go. It was about a minute. And after half of that remaining distance, they were to be caught. Out of the saddle, stamping on the pedals, but who would put a stamp of authority on this one? It was a big ask. With so many good names, especially for this kind of terrain, who would bring it in? The break then caught about the 11 kilometre to go marker. Handshakes for them and prayers perhaps for their Steffelter. The last big test. EF Education Easy Posts were up for it with Carapaz, Albanese, Vandenberg, Ben Healy. No wonder this race has a stamp of a Schleck about it. UE Team Emirates were starting to dig deep. Brandon McNulty, Jonathan Narvaez, they had big thoughts. What about Mark Hershey for Tudor Pro Cycling? This is his kind of terrain, and it all started to light up Reindering went for it. Healy followed. Narvaez was in the frame. Dunneworth was also there. And everybody else just playing spectator. They'd gone with a little bit of a gap, allowing some rush room for those who are supposed to be the principals for the day to get themselves into position and potentially reach out for glory. 9 kilometers to go, and suddenly that last peak was dealt with. It was a downhill run then into town, which would add some impetus. Not for those who suffered late technicals. That always a heartbreak. As for everybody else, they were mobbing the front line. Klukas for Tuna Pro Cycling, part of the lead-in. Groupama seemed to have set it up absolutely beautifully, but then this 920 meters, a devilish hairpin, a dip under the railway line, and then pick up to the finish line itself. And the climb just seemed to go on and on and on. The only thing missing for these guys was crampons. How and who would get there first? Into the dip they went. Tom Dunneworth looking absolutely magnificent, gasping for air like a basking shark it seemed, just pulling in his prey. He then let Romain Grégoire go, and into the gap they started to fold in and fold their hands as well. What a drag race this was. Could Grégoire hold on? Vandenberg on his case, Hershey getting involved behind Vendrame. Del Grosso hadn't given up the ghost yet. Oh, what a finish it turned out to be. Absolutely magnificent. A golden thread in this tapestry of pain. What a way to open this race. Romain Grégoire taking it ahead of Vandenberg, Hershey, Vendrame, Del Grosso. Soren Krauh was in the frame. Well, I came in, he says, with my friends. It gave me such great pleasure to be there. But Tom was supposed to open for me, and I was hyper motivated for this victory. Every single one of my team had ridden like crazy. And then Tom went for it. I was released early and just had to go for it, but he delivered big time. Not only taking the day, but of course, the coveted lead of this race. Look at the names on that roster to finish today. This was a proper opening to a fabulous race. 5 days of torture for our entertainment, and our leader is Grégoire. Romain Grégoire with a 4-second advantage, courtesy of the bonus seconds over Vandenberg, Hershey, Vendrame, Del Grosso, and many others at 10-second margin. We can't wait to go racing for stage 2. I'm at our destination.